Welcome to the Authors Podcast with Lisa Newton. Writing a book is a dream for many people, and in today's society, it has become easier and more important than ever. If you are an expert, speaker, coach, or an authority in your field, having a book is the new business card. It can increase your credibility, enhance your status, and make you the go-to person in your field, opening doors and bringing a flood of opportunities straight to you. You can increase your fees and start choosing the clients you really want to work with. The Authors Podcast show with Lisa Newton is designed to inspire, educate and inform you, both entrepreneur and individual, on how to write a book, as well as writer's tips and strategies on how to actually get that book written. On today's show, you learn more about how to write a book, including writing ideas, marketing, and how to succeed in getting a book written. Here we go with the Authors Podcast, and here is your host, Lisa Newton.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Authors Podcast. Today, my guest is called Stephen Gomes, but he goes by the name of PabKing. The name of the book is Pabulum, which means food or nourishment, intellectual in nature. He is a man that loves life, nature, science, questions, daydreaming, just to name a few. He loves different perspectives, no matter the view, and his journey started as an inquisitive child asking questions. How fortunate he was to have parents that didn't discourage questions. So in the book Pabulum, it's about a restaurant where you're served by a fat owl waiter, and some meals are bitter and some are sweet. But the most important thing is that when you finish reading the book, you feel nourished and satisfied with your meal. The question to the reader really is, what kind of stomach do you have for daydreaming, love, reality, war and religion? So on the line now, I should have PabKing. Hello.
Hey, how you doing? Sorry about that.
So
I'm amazed actually with the whole accent. You know, I'm in New York, so I love the accent. So I'm just amazed.
Okay, I'll try and speak slowly for you because I know that, an English accent isn't something that you'd be used to necessarily, but out here in Britain, we're very used to listening to Americans because we have a lot of American TV and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So let's start off then. Let me ask you, because what I initially wanted to know is how did you get the nickname, or how and why have you come to go by the name of PabKing? What's the story behind that?
Well, thanks for having me once again. I basically cut Pabulum off, quite simply. And I abbreviated Pab and King because to me, I am the Pabulum King because, basically I look at it like or my own personal view, I just am the king at feeding people and with knowledge and doing things like that. I've just been doing it so long, man. I've been reading and pretty much giving food for thought, if you will, since I was about 14 years old. Okay. So I'm showing my age now, but I'll be 40 in another week. So
my gosh,
some time now.
When is your birthday?
My birthday is June 14th.
Okay, all right. 3 days after mine. When you said next week, I thought, oh my gosh, we got the same birthday. But yeah, okay.
By the way, that's I don't know how many of your listeners want to know, but that's actually Trump's birthday as well. So so there's that,
Okay.
And that's in a nutshell, that's where the name, pretty much came from,
And does the word Pabulum, does it mean anything in any language? Pabulum.
It's called Pabulum, but in Britain it's probably called what you're saying. But I think in Latin it's called Pabulum. Like there's no U, it's just Pabulum. I actually found out for that one day. I was, picking my son up from school, and I was talking to the secretary about my work, and she said she would, check it out. And I told her the name, and she said, "Oh man, they used to call that baby food in the 50s. And I like jumped for joy because that was unbelievable. I didn't even know that. And when you look up the term pabulum, that's what it is, baby food. And so being that I look like I'm feeding people, and I pride myself in taking the complicated and making it simple, or as taking a hard, rough meal, putting it in a blender and pureeing it, right? So even someone with no teeth can ingest it, right? And I always cling to the simple because to me, life is simple. You know, you find somebody trying to complicate things. They're trying to either get something from you or take advantage of you in some way, really, because most of life is the essential parts that we need are very simple, you know, so that's what that is. So in Latin, it means baby food, pabulum.
Right. So in the book, Pabulum is a restaurant where you're served by a fat owl waiter. And I'm assuming that the reason why it's an owl is because it's wise. That's the connection.
Wise also, they're seen in many cultures and many different time periods as the seers. Remember, they see in the dark. Mm-hmm. They can turn around and look behind them. Mm-hmm. You know, so they definitely signify knowledge. They signify awareness, sight, you know. Mm-hmm. So, and he's fat because he just, you know, he likes to eat, you know, that represents me. I can't get enough of it. And, you know, even certain cultures, even certain, what's the word I'm looking for? Not wise men from like India. They call them like mystics.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. You know, certain Buddhist sort of religion or ideologies. I mean, they just really look at you in some ways as just like a human being, as like somewhat just a pile of food, right? Because, right, you are what you eat, and when you eat food, it doesn't mystically disappear; it becomes you, right? So, you know, I'm somebody that's 40, so I'm an accumulation of 40 meals, you know, 40 years worth of meals, you know what I mean? So I just love the connection between the two. But yeah, he's very fat and he doesn't care, you know, he doesn't care who judges him, you know. He's actually on the front of the book. So you get to see him throughout the book. Every chapter he's there, you know.
And what sort of format is it? Is he telling stories in kind of parables? Like, what's the sort of layout of the book?
The layout of the book, my actual table of contents is actually a menu, right? And it's a menu, and everything you read has its own caloric intake, right? So you get more of the more sort of raw truth stuff, you know, that would be more bitter, like vegetables. You know, the love stuff, the real sweet stuff, that's more high calories, like ice cream and things like that, you know. You know, people can't get enough of that stuff, you know what I mean? Every chapter has a break where I call it pabulum. It would be technically called poetry, right? Technically. But then I'm going to technically, if I can say that, tell you that I don't consider it poetry. I just have to, you know, put it there. Like, I don't have any sonnets, any, you know, stuff like that. I don't follow any rules. Okay. What I have is called pabulum, right? Now, I kind of look at myself as the Biscuit of this type of writing. You know, hopefully I don't have to die first for it to become a thing, but so my editor actually told me that I was very what's the word she used, and she sounds like you a little bit because she's from Australia. Okay. and I you know, so I was like, wow, she sounds like you know, but she said I was economical with my words, and I did it in such a way where I can tell you something simple, but you know, some things, it's like I'm not dumbing it down just because I'm making it simple, right? It can be something very intricate and challenging for the mind, but it can be very simple where you at least know what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to go too crazy, you know, or, you know, show off with some language and words. And, you know, every writer paints it a little bit, but I don't paint it too much. You know, I want people to come away with, you know, what I'm trying to say. So I have the entries. After every chapter, there's actually a chapter called Pabulum, which are nice little one-liners and things like that you can really, you know, sink your teeth into really quick. It's just something to kind of break it up. You know, some of it gets a little heavy when I get around war, when I get around reality. You know, some things, those are chapters in my book, they get a little heavy, you know, so I kind of put something in there to kind of lighten it up a little bit, so to speak. You know what I mean?
You've
Toward
got
the back of the book is.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say you have a lot of references to food, like.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, that's it. That's really what it is, and that's really what I consider it. And it's a beautiful thing to feed the mind. You have to feed the soul. You have to feed the mind, right? Before you put anything to your mouth, it's like a trilogy, right? The mind, the spirit, the body, right? And so you got to feed the soul. You got to feed the mind. Food helps some of that, but it has to go in that order, in that fashion. You need the fuel, right? You need the fuel to deal with the day to day. Deal with the stuff that the stuff you talk to yourself about that you haven't talked to anyone about. If you don't talk to no one about it, you have to fix it within yourself. So everything goes back to you. So it's a great way to look at things in more of a simplistic view, as I do, and you can just get the nourishment, get the nutrients you need, because you got to feed different things, right? So over here you have to deal with friends that you thought were friends, a lover that you thought loved you, right? You have to deal with, heartache and all types of things, and you kind of need different energies to feed each one.
And who would you say your book is aimed at? Because there's some big themes there that you've mentioned, and I suppose they could be present at any stage or any point of your life. So who would you say is the target reader?
This is one of the biggest issues that I had, right? Because when I first wanted to write a book, I almost titled it Bible with lowercase b's, right? And I thought, well, maybe that might be too controversial, but then people might just be like throwing rocks at me, right? So I said, all right, let me kind of ease it up a little bit, and I came with my other title. So my main thing, you asking me who do I focus my book after? Like, have I read anything that makes me?
Yeah, who do you like? I don't know. For some people, like as they're writing, or even at the end, who would you say is your target audience? Like male, female, young, old?
Oh, okay. It's like I said earlier, that's very tough for me because I really wanted to reach everyone, and that's why I almost named it Bible, right? Mm-hmm. But as far as marketing is concerned and things like that, you have to target specific people. So I guess I would target those, not necessarily age group. I've had folks read my book that were 20, 21. They get it. I've had folks read my book at 50 and they're upset with me. So it can go, it can go either way. I would say my book is for not necessarily an age group, but my book is for folks that have gone through things in their lives, been challenged at various points in their life, and are looking for certain things, right? So it's like when you want something to eat, you don't always know exactly what you want to eat, right? You're trying to match up how you feel with what you want to eat, right? Sometimes if you really rush to eat something, you ever eat something and be like, that was good, but I really didn't want that. You know what I mean? So you got the food that didn't match your emotion, right? So with me, I'm matching the emotions of the reader, not necessarily the age, right? So if you have an emotion, right, that needs to be met or soothed or rubbed, right, or you need to turn the light on and kind of bring it to light, this book is for you. I did it in such a manner where I could actually touch people on different spectrums, right? In other words, you have to relate to something. If you can't relate to anything in this book, then make the reservations because you don't have pulse. Okay. It's impossible. Set it up, tell mom, tell pops, it's over. You know what I mean? So I connected to the emotions of the reader. That's what I want from you, right? The nightmare in my book is if someone would actually read my book and you would ask them, what'd you think about it? And they'll go, like that's a nightmare. That can't happen. Like, what? You sure? Because, the chapters in my book are daydreaming, reality, love, war, pray, right? And just in those topics alone, that's going to really get you. Everyone daydreams. reality is subjective. Everyone has that, or their impression of it, or their mode of it, or whatever they can deal with, right? Love, I ain't got to say nothing else, right? We got war, you got pray, the collection plate coming around, you throwing some sense in there. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. So I guess I'm after the emotions of the reader. That's my target. If you have those emotions, if you have those feelings and those questions, then I'm here for you.
You were listening to the Authors Podcast with me, your host, Lisa Newton. You can email me, lisa@lisanewton.co.uk. And remember, we have the Inner Circle, which is for writers just like you, and you can join us at writeabook.net. So if you're just tuning in, I am talking to PabKing, who is the author of Pabulum, which is a restaurant whereby the menu is a variety of different topics. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of an analogy to food. So PabKing, so no, I'm fascinated by this, honestly. Like, were you ever a chef, or do you just like eating? What is it about food?
Well, I have a little belly, but I don't want people to judge me for that. My folks on my mother's side is from the South, and they do some cooking, and I blame my mother for my little love handles, and I blame her every day, actually. And then, my father's side, he's from Cape Verde, which is in near West Africa, right? Yes, near Senegal. And I just always looked at it like, listen, the best thing to do is give somebody something to eat, right? Like physically, what better can you do physically? Like maybe the next thing best to feed them is give somebody a hug, right? Like it's like, it's a social thing. People meet up, people go over business. Hey, let's talk over some meal. Let's talk over dinner. Let's talk over, So I think I always just associated bringing all of this food with bringing in all this knowledge. See, I grew up real quick. I grew up in an era in the 80s in Brooklyn, right? It was a happy face. If you put a happy face and a sad face on somebody, that was kind of that time, right? Because, it was a lot of love. Everybody knew each other, but it was like the height of the drug game, right, in New York. And so one thing that you knew was that it was like, they used to call it building, right? Men would read books and they would come together, they'll talk about it, and they'll fight information, and they'll just challenge each other all day with just knowledge. And you see these ciphers, they'll be in a circle, or they just be talking about what they read, what this person interprets. There's like a super male book club sort of thing, right? And they would like roll up on people and be like, you read that book? And you'd be like, yeah. What does it say on page 22? And unfortunately, they took it so serious that sometimes if you didn't know what was on page 22, they would beat you up, right? So I said, wow, man, they took that kind of serious, So as I got older, I just started just loving to acquire, right, knowledge and things like that, and so, it was just a thing for me where I just wanted to just read everything. I didn't always like to read though. School almost finished me with that because, when you read in so much of something that you really don't care for, it sort of divides your emotions from your actions. So, okay, I have to do it. I don't care about why I'm doing it, and I don't want to, but you have to. So it kind of breaks, that normal occurrence you would have to have your emotions in line with your actions, right? Because then you can really put your heart into it, So
what type of books did you like to read, or do you like reading now?
I'm a history buff, okay? That's my thing. Now, there's certain different types of history, right? There's certain histories that other people make up and call it history, Mm-hmm. But I kind of go into history from that. So let me give you an example how crazy I was, right? So when we graduated high school, my friends went to dancer, where the women dance and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And they could kind of have less clothes on than other women may have, you know what I mean? So that's not my thing, right? That's not my thing at all. Even to this day, it's like, I'd rather to do something else, right? So they all went out to do that, and I went home and read like this 400-page book on the Moorish presence in Spain, 4th and 5th century, right? Now you know I'm crazy, right? So it's basic history. Anything with history or history tech or creation, religion, history, stuff like that.
Okay, that's interesting. So Moorish history of Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. Very great. The book was probably published in maybe 1800s to the 1900s, because the way it was tough to read, you know. But you know, let's hope stuff like that doesn't go away. You know, I mean, you know, you always want to have something to compare things to, right? You know, when you start getting one thing, then I'm big on that. Like I drove all my teachers crazy, right? Because I like raised my hand, you know, like, you know, not like it's like, you know, they expected most kids not to even be a part of it. But you say one thing and I'm like, wait a minute, you know, so, and I be raise my head. And then they say, Steve, you know what? Class, she's like, I know you got a lot of questions, but you know, you just write them down and you can send them to me. Or you kids try to learn it, and you wrote it.
So you were the inquisitive child.
I was super. See, the thing with me, I didn't just ask questions like, why does the car only have 4 tires? I need to clarify that. I'm asking questions like, Mommy, you know, how can 2 people populate a whole planet? You understand what I'm saying? I'm asking serious questions where, especially in that time, right? You know, my nana come in, or, you know, my aunt come in and start throwing holy water on me, you know. So I'm asking questions to get me judged, to get my parents judged. What are you teaching the boy at home? You know, so, you know, I was very inquisitive. My mother was like, just ask away. If I don't know it, I'm gonna tell you. If I know it, I'm gonna try my best. And my dad was just like, I don't care, you know, like, what the hell you asking me for? You know, but they didn't discourage it. Right? They never said, yo, you know, stop that. You know, you should stop asking questions like that, because people might, you know, they never judged me for doing it. And like I put in there, I love questions. Question marks can save the world, right? The question mark, right, may be the most powerful symbol, because like the answer can't even appear unless there's that mark, right? I know I'm going a little far out here, but if there's no question mark, there's no answer.
You were listening to the Authors Podcast with Lisa Newton. Please do subscribe to, like, and share this channel. So if you're just tuning in, I'm talking to PabKing, who has written the book Pabulum. And we're talking about questions. So are there any questions at the moment, PabKing, that you've been asking yourself? Any soul-searching questions, or are you still as inquisitive now as you were back then?
Oh, like a child. You know, it's almost scary, you know, the questions I asked. But you know what? It keeps you, another beautiful thing questions do is they offer purpose, right? So the more you have, the more it puts something in the body where you just have to go find, right? You know, seeking you shall find. Now you got to get up, your legs start moving, you start feeling good, and you start going towards your questions, right? And so it's a catch though, right? Because I've also had to deal with a lot by following these questions. And, you know, the questions and the truth are really crazy, and they kind of go hand in hand if you're asking the right questions. Because, okay, you got the questions. Can you deal with the answer? I have questions that I've asked, and I'm like, I really didn't want to know that. You know? I really didn't want to know that stuff, but I know it now, so I can't unknow it, you know. So it's a catch though. You have to be willing, you have to have an open heart, and you have to really be willing to be serious about finding the question, right? Not a question that, you know, you kind of just throw out there like a question that the good stuff, like question I always want to know, who am I, right? Why am I here? Okay. What was I put here to do? Right? And those are the kinds of questions that will save life.
Yeah. And if you found the answer to that, do you know why? That's almost like your life's purpose, isn't it? Like, why am I here? Like,
let me put it this way, right? It's the question no one else can answer. That's the that's the bulk of it. Yeah, I can't ask you, hey, Mr. Newton, or hey, Lisa, hey, why am I here? Now, technically, you could be like, okay, you're the repairman and my washing machine ain't working. That's why you're here. Fix it and get out. You know what I'm saying? That's a little easy. So you don't want to deal with that. You come over, why do you think you're here? But why am I here? Only you can answer that. What am I here to do? Only you can answer that, right? So everything I do, everything I write be summed up in the personal experience, right? Of nature, right? Because every line has a purpose, right? Every animal, every insect, you never find an insect wandering around doing nothing with nothing to do, right? It's always, even no matter how small, right? I think people have figured out how little a bacteria is and the effects it can have on your life if it's not, if it's a bad guy, right? So no matter the size, everything has a purpose. So it's yours, right? And what I definitely want to let everybody know is I wrote PabKing, saw himself. I wrote Pabulum because, quite simply, I'm a pest. Okay. When I was a kid, I used to walk around bothering people. I walk around tickling people, poking people, right? And they used to say, Steve, get out of here. I used to just bother people when I was a kid. And I remember Michael Jackson, showing my age again, but Michael Jackson came out with Thriller. I was like 5 years old, and I thought that was the scariest thing ever. Man, I had this super scary tree back there, and I was like, close the door, close the windows, get me out of here. You know what I mean? I just saw a hand coming up through the soil, and I just knew they were coming to get me. You know what I mean? But I combined that from what I knew when I was in my 20s, and I said, damn, I said, what if the Walking Dead is not about the dead that came back to life? What if it's about the alive that are really actually dead, right? Emotionally, spiritually, right? So I said, you know what? Let me poke some people, right? So my book is meant to poke. Hey, wake up. Shh. You figure if you want to get somebody's attention, you tap them on the leg, you tap them on the shoulder. Hey, you're alive, right? Hey, you have a purpose, right? Okay, I don't know what it is, but I'm just saying that's what it's for. So they're going to read certain things if they want to, if they want to get it. They will read certain things and they will put the book down and kind of look up into the sky and say, and that's everything for me. Like if I get one person to do that, that's my job all day long.
Excellent. You were listening to the Authors Podcast with me, your host, Lisa Newton. You can email me, lisa@lisanewton.co.uk. And remember, we have the Inner Circle, which is for writers just like you, and you can join us at writeabook.net. So on that note, you've given me food for thought, Steve. So PabKing, thank you very much for that. You sound very philosophical. It's yeah. So I'll have to look into that. Where can the listeners get a hold of your book?
Okay, they can go to authorhouse.com, which is actually my publisher. I'm self-published, by the way.
Okay.
I'm a Gemini. I'm all over the place. So if anybody change anything, they can have it. Okay. I always said it. I was always scared about that. Hey, we don't like this out. We don't like this. Take this off the cover. Da, 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 da. Listen, man, leave me alone. All right. Leave me alone. Okay. Because that's the way I am. I don't know. So you can get it at authorhouse.com, authorhouse.com, or you can get it on Amazon. And it's you can't miss it. It's a fat owl and a waiter's costume, outfit, and people are reaching for that food, reaching for that knowledge. And he has a tray of books. on the front.
Okay.
But if I can add something,
Of
man, you
course.
got stuff to do, and I'm bothering you, but let me stop.
Not at all.
I just want to put it out there, like, if you got something, that people like really want to get out and they want to make that impression. And I didn't know I wanted to write a book until somebody read it and told me, the lovely mother of my child. She said, hey, you should write a book. And I thought she was crazy. And she said, hey, all you need is 100 pages, man. Get you a cover, get you this, get you that. And started thinking. I said, you know what? I think I can do that. Because up until that point, I was scatterbrained. Once again, I'm a Gemini. I got several things going on at one time. I got, I'm helping problems. I'm ironing my pants, and I'm making grilled cheese all day. That's it's just you have everything going on, and you got a whole bunch of people in one room. That's why we really don't need to be around a whole lot of people, because we got a whole lot of people in us already. So I would love to just let people know that someone I know, someone's dear to me. I helped them move their stuff into a storage unit, and I came across a manuscript, and they said, "Oh my God, give me that! Where'd you find this?" I said, "This quarter right there." And they said, "Oh my God, this is my father's book he was working on before he died." And that really got me, because here you have a half-finished manuscript, and he had a heart attack, and never got to finish it. And so, if there's something in someone listening, possibly, or get it out, because they say that the most expensive place in the world is the graveyard. That's where all big dreams and great ideas go to die. And then, instead of folks going out getting it like that, they're a little afraid of what people may think of them, so they just take it with them to their grave. So if you got something in where you feeling inspired and you just want to say something to folks, and you make sure you get it out there, make it your life's mission. Not to mention, it's pretty cool to be an author and get in the Library of Congress. The Library of Congress is a big deal. Everything, every book, every record, every movie, every documentary. So you get into the Library of Congress, then you would have a hell of a group. Anybody that's ever created anything in such a magnitude, you're there. And it's an ultimate business card for the professional folks out there. So I'm a humble kid. I grew up on welfare and everything like that. I just care about folks, and hopefully when I leave here, somebody will miss me.
Well, yeah. And you mentioned being a Gemini as I am, and they say jack of all trades. So aside from writing, do you have other things that keep you busy?
Yeah, because my writer's block crashes me sometime, and I had a writer's block that if I had a cement truck, I probably couldn't have moved it. I had a writer's block that lasted me about 7 months. You believe that? And I didn't know what to do. I said, you know what? I'm gonna just let it come to me. And so my next work is going to be a little more advanced. And if you read my book, you're going to say, man, how more advanced can he get? But this is
I love it. So modest. I love it.
Yeah, but this is going to be a little bit more advanced, and it's going to be called Circles and Codes. But I like, if I'm not writing, I'm probably running my mouth somewhere. Also on my podcast, I'm on anchor.fm, anchor.fm. Just look for PabKing, and I'll definitely piss you off there. I'm normally running my mouth trying to uplift somebody, and that's my thing. I'm a servant of humanity, man. My mother used to walk around and hug people she didn't know. Kid, I used to always be like, lady, why are you hugging those people? You don't know them. They might smell. You know what I'm saying? Didn't matter. She would hug the rich person. She would hug the poor person. She would hug the working class. She would hug the homeless, right? If you were crying, she'd come to you. She'd get off the train, come right on the side, give you a napkin, right? She was just mother love. So I think I moved by that. So I used to drive Lyft for a while, and I had folks that wouldn't get out my car. Okay, people, it's just the experience, So I'm normally trying to experience life and learn myself
So
You know,
why did they want to get out of your car? Because they enjoy talking to you.
they just enjoyed talking to me. They never heard some of the things I said. I sparked things in them. They were really shocked. They're like, "Damn, you drive Uber?" And so, what really sparked it, real quick, but remember, it's quantity, not quality. I dig it, but I want some folks to know this. I entered when I was a kid. I thought I was just going to be a ball player. I'm about 6'3". I was pretty good playing ball. I wasn't dedicated enough though. But my high school I went to, I had an English teacher. And if any teachers are watching, don't ever take for granted the imprint you can have on a child. So when I was in junior high, I had a social studies teacher tell me that I write like Mark Twain, right? And I'm in the 7th grade. And I'm like, who the hell is that? So she was like, you write like Mark Twain. I said, okay. And then when I went to high school, I was introduced to Shakespeare stuff. And the cat that resonated with me, remember mine is inner city kid from Brooklyn, New York, grew up in the hood. Cyrano de Bergerac. You familiar?
No, not.
You ever seen that movie with Steve Martin called Roxanne? I'm showing my age again. Okay. It was basically he was deformed, right? Okay. And what happens is he loved this woman. And this is around the time when men serenade women from the street. And, they're looking out the window and they would serenade them. Oh, you look so great. And can I borrow $5? Stuff like that. So this guy, right, liked the same girl that Cyrano de Bergerac liked. But Cyrano de Bergerac knew he was hideous and so-called hideous, and he was deformed. And so he figured the girl would never love him. So what he did was he helped the guy serenade the woman. He would stand behind the building, and when the guy needed something to say, he would whisper to him what to say to fall in love with the woman, right? And it was pretty cool. But the way he spoke, like if you have brown eyes and I really want to be with you, right? I'm gonna say, oh yeah, you have beautiful brown eyes. I'll say, I can sit under your blue skies forever, right? So he just had a way of his description and the way he described things, right? It was literally unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And my math teacher entered me into a poetry writing contest, right? And I got a basketball in my hand. I'm looking at her like, are you crazy? I don't write, So she entered me into a poetry writing contest, 5,000 people, and I came back 388 out of 5,000. So it wasn't too bad. So, that kind of sparked it. That kind of sparked it. That took it and made it actually something. But I touch a lot of relationships. I help a couple of people get back together. So I'm just into it, man. I'm just into that experience. A lot of family, marriage and family, and I think I'm talking about crying in my backseat. And I'm like, miss, I have to pick someone else up. But I mean, there's no better. There's no, like what you're doing. It's beautiful. You connect with folks and you give a guy like me a chance to run his mouth. And
So tell me about your podcast. And so you said it was on Anchor.fm?
Anchor.fm, ANCHOR.FM. This is where I kind of let loose, right? I kind of let loose. Some would consider it a little raw, right? It's a little raw at times, but it's very interesting, And I tackle things, once again, that, some people wouldn't like, why do women call themselves the ambassadors of truth, So I like to piss women off anyway. They can throw stuff at me, but so I touch, like I said, I touch family, I touch relationships. Why do men cheat? Stuff like that. Is it really that easy to be a father? Our father's forgotten. Is a house mom taboo now? Right? Things like that. Things like that. What's wrong with children today? And
the name of your podcast is
PabKing.
PabKing. PabKing.
Yeah, and I would love feedback. Anybody leave messages or whatever. If you want to send me some verbal insults or write them down, I'll take those too. But I think people may lose the effect of rattling someone's cage. Oh, it's a beauty in it because, right? It's a shock right? It's like if there's no agitation in a washing machine, the clothes would never get washed. The water would just be carrying the water around. If there was nothing to beat clothes, it would, right? It would just be come back out wet and dirty, right? You have to have the paddle. They put on a rock, but they beat it, right? And they take it and move it around. So I'm not saying I want you to beat me with a stick, but sometimes that gets you. So and it's a great thing. It's a great thing. I put a couple episodes. I have about 50 episodes on there. Excellent. And that's really what I'm doing with that. And hopefully I can come back on with you. When I get my other stuff all done and everything like that, I'll just, because I don't have a social media presence yet, and I saw that you did a little stuff too. So I need to kind of get myself out there. Another thing I want to tell folks too is, like, when you're writing a book, right? It's an important thing. It's not like, when I first wrote the book, I thought that it was just like, once again, Gemini stuff, we can handle anything, but I thought it was easier than it actually was, right? So the easiest part was writing it, right? So there's certain things you have to do, and otherwise you'll have a beautifully written piece of furniture in your house. And people will be lifting up all types of lamps and everything. Mm-hmm.
What did you find most difficult? I know you mentioned the writer's block, but what would you say for you? What would you say?
I think the most difficult thing for me, being that I'm so all over the place, was constantly reading it. Like, you need to know that you need to read your book a lot. Like, especially when you're self-publishing, you need to really read your book a lot. They have a saying that when you're tired of your own book, then you're ready. So it was tough reading it that much because, and I can't speak for all Geminis, but I have to keep a certain level of freshness to what I do, or else I'm going to think that it's no good. I'm going to get tired of it really fast. So me reading it so much, it put me in jeopardy. Like, this red light went off. Like, all right, Steve, you live it now. You know what I mean? You read it one more time, you're going to throw the whole thing in the garbage. But let's just hope that most of the people aren't Geminis, but those Geminis out there understand. So I like to keep it fresh. So that was the toughest part, reading it over and over and over again, right? Well, I got lucky with my illustration.
I was going to say, you did have an editor that was able to also,
Great. She is great. Sally Kaufman. And she's in Australia. And you know what? I just thought she had an accent. She was in New York. I'm telling you, it was the funniest thing all this time before she do my work and everything. And she said, give me a call one day if you have any issues. Then she gave me her number, and I was like, wait a minute. That number looks crazy. So I said, where's his number? Oh, I'm in Australia. Yeah, she gave me like a 16-digit number. And I'm like, wait a minute. My phone don't work this way. You know what I mean? So she was like, oh, no, I'm in Australia. I said, oh, okay. I thought the accent was for a reason, But she was so great. And you have to get an editor that understands you. That's a major thing. You have to get an editor that understands your vision, right? Because for them to correct you, like, if she would have corrected me on a lot of things, it would have changed everything. And she was so good. She did it. She's in the business 20, 30 years. So she would know what to fix and what to kind of tweak and still maintain what I was trying, my thought, right? Yeah. That was amazing because it's very creative the way I write, and it has a certain flow to it, right? So she maintained that flow, right? And that's the most important thing, because if I'm reading and I don't know who wrote it, then we really got a problem, So she was great. And this other gentleman, he goes by the name of White Rabbit. He does illustrations and everything. His name is Chad Thomas. He came up with my owl, and he just drew it in certain ways, and I was just shocked. It was like perfect. I got lucky with that. It was like perfect. The first people I went to worked, it was unbelievable. And you need an editor.
Yeah.
Okay, because I really don't consider myself an author. I'm an author because I have published work, but I'm a thinker, right? And I just really put what I'm thinking on paper, right? And I found some sort of pattern that I can put it in where, put it on some pages, and I publish it. Now I'm an author, but I really consider myself a thinker. I just sit there all day thinking, looking at trees, looking at nature, and just think. If the trees stand there all day, I can't stand there, No.
You were listening to the Authors Podcast with Lisa Newton. Please do subscribe to, like, and share this channel. On that note, as a thinker, I want to thank you, PabKing, for sharing your thoughts with us, leading us down a journey. It's been very interesting. And so for the listeners out there, the name of the book is Pabulum, Pabulum. PabKing also has his own podcast, so you can hear more from him. It's hosted on anchor.fm, and the title of the podcast is PabKing. So, PabKing, any final words?
Any final words? Okay, I'm gonna steal somebody's words. Okay, I'm gonna borrow. The late great Dick Gregory. You familiar? Dick Gregory?
Yes.
You familiar? Okay. So you're gonna know what I'm saying. So all your listeners out there, be a turtle. Be a turtle. What's that mean? You familiar with that when he said that?
No, I've not heard of that one.
Okay. Rest his soul, by the way. Be a turtle. Be soft on the inside, be hard on the outside, and always be willing to stick your neck out for somebody.
There we go. Thank you for that. So, PabKing, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
And listeners,
hopefully you'll have me again.
Yeah, when you release the second book, we'll have you back. And
okay,
I won't repeat the title because I always think it's I don't know. I always think, well, this is just my philosophy, that you should always keep the title to yourself until it's done, just in case someone beats you to it. But
and I would love to see him try, because let me tell you something. I got about, hey, listen, there's 10 people in here. I got about 50 titles, so whatever they want to do, I'm ready. I'm ready for them. You know what I mean? I'm ready for them. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay, so PabKing, thank you very much. And the book, listeners, is called Pabulum, Pabulum, and you can get that from Author House and also from Amazon. So that concludes.
Leave an email if they want to contact
me.
Go
on then. Yeah, an email.
Yeah, PABW0RLD2055@yahoo.com. Any feedback of what it is, that whatever you listen to, whatever you read, I would appreciate it. Any questions, any speaking engagements, any personal questions you may have or whatever, and you want me to shoot you a view, then once again, it would read out Pab World 2055. That's PABW0RLD2055@yahoo.com. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, listeners. And that concludes another episode of the Authors Podcast. See you next time.
You have been listening to the Authors Podcast with Lisa Newton, sponsored by Boogles Limited. Tweet the show at Boogles_books, spelled BOOGLEZ_books. You can also contact your host via the email address lisa@lisanewton.co.uk. And if you want to join our authors community, join the inner circle at www.writeabook.net. You have just been listening to the Authors Podcast with Lisa Newton. See you next time.